Well, as one system exits, another is pushing in off the Atlantic. Thanks for clicking on to the Saturday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. Before we continue with the video, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Lots going on, as always, here. There's been storm updates, there's been the European Outlook. Hopefully, things will start to quieten down a little bit as we move into the new working week. Also, we will have the live stream 4 p.m. as always tomorrow. I will leave a link in the description below today's video for that. It'll be the 126th edition of the Global Weather Report live here from Marfogan Weather HQ. Hope you can join me for that. But looking at the latest imagery here, you can see the system that had obviously brought all the impacts over the last couple of days. That is now well up into the Norwegian Sea. We've got a little low just to the west of Scotland. That's going to bring some showers and some winteriness actually across higher parts during the course of tonight. But you can see this curl of cloud here out over the Atlantic, well to the west of the UK and Ireland. That is moving in. That's actually been named Storm Herminia by the Spanish Met Service. And you can see as we progress through the next 24 hours or so, there's that little system at 982 millibars moving just to the west of Lewis and Harris. We've got some wintry precipitation associated with that during the overnight period. And then as we move in through the course of tomorrow, we've got a band of wind, rain, sleet, snow mixing in as that the frontal system moves ahead of the feature itself across the UK and Ireland. We could see 60, 70 mile per hour gusts actually across the channel into the southwest of both the UK as well as Ireland. Thankfully, not as significant as Storm Uain. I say Uain, I'm probably making that pronunciation wrong. I find it's actually quite a difficult. Is it just me, or is it quite a difficult name to pronounce? I'm not sure. Maybe it's just myself that has that issue. I don't know. But you can see here this the pressure dropping into the mid 940s, the millibars here. So it's a deep low. But again, when you've got this phase 3 of the MJO, and you've obviously had that tremendous dump of Arctic air into the United States, we're going to look at the historic Gulf snowstorm in tomorrow's live stream, as well as the impacts and some of the stats from the system a couple of days ago. And so, yeah, plenty of reason to tune in, hopefully, tomorrow. But when you've got, like I say, a phase 3 MJO, and you've got the type of vortex, you've got the Arctic air, you've got the strength of the jet crossing the Atlantic, all the ingredients came together. And that I'm quite pleased with the fact that I called the possibility of another named storm a good 10 days previous to the actual occurrence, based on the teleconnections and other aspects as well. So a decent enough forecast, I think. And I said that we would have more areas of low pressure moving in off the Atlantic. That is the case. Thanks to higher pressure over continental Europe, we're seeing a slightly slower progress east of this system. But unfortunately, because of that, we're going to be in quite an unsettled spell right the way through into the early portions of next week. Look at all the wind, rain, sleet, snow moving into parts of France, but also Iberia. Hence why the Spanish folk have named this system Herminia, despite the fact that the centre of the low is actually over Ireland and the UK as opposed to Iberia. It's quite interesting, actually. Let's have a look and see what the wind speeds are expected to be. This is off the GFS model anyway, and maximum gusts will go back. And yeah, it's showing some fairly strong winds, 146 kilometers per hour. Let's skip back slightly here and see. So again, the core of the strongest winds on the southern flank, moving up through the Irish Sea, through the Channel, in the Bay of Biscay, and probably that northwestern exposed coast of Spain's probably going to get some pretty strong winds, as well as the French coast also. So pretty windy conditions, quite widespread, anywhere from the Portuguese coast all the way up into the southwest of both the UK as well as Ireland. Back to the overview chart here. That system then kind of takes a sweet old time filling as it does so. It eventually moves into the near continent, and then we've got another system moves through again further south, colder air over the UK and Ireland. But this system here could bring another spell of wind and rain, and then we're in higher pressure towards the middle and second half of next week. But again, the GFS is indicating high pressure kind of largely becoming more dominant across much of Europe as well as the UK also here. What's interesting is the fact that with the MJO in phase 3 at the moment, which promotes storminess, we also have quite a positive Arctic oscillation. It drops again. We're very positive at the moment. Colder air, lower heights over the Arctic. We've got stronger heights within the middle altitude pattern at the moment, much more zonal. And then the NAO is pretty close to positive, if not neutral at the moment. So this kind of screams out westerly flow when you've got the AO positive and you've got the NAO kind of close to neutral, if not slightly positive. That is very much a westerly driven setup overall. But the MJO is expected to go into phases 4 and 5, which obviously are quite mild phases. But there is some members here. If you look at the ECMWF, there is some members now indicating that it goes back towards phase 6, even into phases 7 and 8. This would be day 20. And what's interesting here is when you look at the mean zonal winds at 10 millibars up in the stratosphere, as I've already said for quite some time now, when you look at the mean zonal winds, that tends to be one of two measures of depicting how strong the polar vortex is. But you notice we're in record strong territory at the moment, but there is a notable drop now starting to show up towards the month of February here. We'll see a little bit of a deceleration and a wee bit of a weakening of the polar vortex. And if you look at this off the GFS, you can see here that we've got a fairly robust polar vortex at the moment here, nothing really causing any kind of wave breaking or friction or displacement, weakening overall. But you notice here as we continue to play through the rest of January and into February, you start to notice here another burst of warming taking place over the Eurasian side of the pole, and a very notable warming showing up here. This is around February 7th, and it's indicating that we have this secondary wave of strong warming that then tries to push in over the top of the pole, forcing the displacement towards the America and European side of the pole, which is rather interesting. You can see almost an attempt at some sort of a split here, cross-polar flow developing, forcing the vortex to become stretched out and well displaced off its axis here. And if you look at the anomaly here at 10 millibars, some very notable warming showing up. And this has been a little bit of a trend in recent days, this kind of strong warming showing up towards the end of week 1, into week 2 of February. You ask the question, as I often do, what's the cause of this weakening, this warming? Do we see maybe the return of some high latitude blocking, for example, then penetrating up into the stratosphere from troposphere? So these are things to monitor more than anything else, really. And I just find it interesting that the somewhat deceleration of the mean zonal winds, this burst of warming showing up in the GFS model, and in, with the fact that we've got within 15 to 20 days possibly a migration of the Mann-Julian oscillation back towards phases 7, possibly phases 8. Those are colder phases. Those are more phases that you would associate a negative Arctic oscillation and possibly North Atlantic oscillation as well. So certainly things to monitor as we go forward. Nothing to get overly excited about right enough. But generally speaking, it is quite interesting to see this taking place. We've got more areas of low pressure moving in off the Atlantic over the next week or so here, with higher pressure building in towards the end of next week. So we'll monitor this going forward. Looking at the ECMWF real quick, you can see here what this model is indicating. So Herminia moves in gradually, deep low, but thankfully the winds are nowhere near as strong as they were with the previous system. We've got a lot of messy conditions, strongest winds, again, Southern Ireland, Southern UK, 60, 70 mile per hour gusts possible over the open waters of the Channel, Biscay, into the Irish Sea. We could be seeing winds in excess of 60 to 70 mile per hour as well, causing issues with shipping, for example, ferry services. And this translates all the way down into the Iberian and French coasts as well. It's not just focused on UK or Ireland this time. played through. That system eventually starts to fill as it moves eastwards, and then we've got that next system, like the GFS, forced further south. If we look at the 850 temperatures here, you can see that we've got the colder air to the north. Not exceptionally cold by any stretch, but colder air. And then let's finally look at the snow projections of the ECM for the next 48, 72 hours, for example. Let's look specifically at the UK, and let's have a look and see what the snow depth projections are. So this is the here and now seen by the model. Even down in low levels of the central belt, there's been snow. My dad messaged this morning to say that they had snow at the house in Kirkintilloch, just outside Glasgow. I think there has been snow in the Glasgow area. So again, colder air on the backside of the system that we've caused all the issues over the last couple of days. That has presented snow to lower levels. You can see here that as we progress through Saturday into Sunday with that little low near the Outer Hebrides in the 980s and millibars, that's presenting more moisture, colder air digging in on the backside of it. So we've got some snow, even the low levels across parts of Northern England and Northern Ireland. Parts of the Republic, I believe, has had snow in the last 24 hours or so. And you can see here again a little bit of snow here and there with the winteriness, areas of low pressure, etc. Further south, allowing the colder air to present snow. So mixed bag. Looks as if we're just kind of keeping an eye on the MJO and the polar vortex over the next couple of weeks. So stick around. Thanks for your support, and hope you've been enjoying the content in recent days. Lots going on, and hope to see you tomorrow for the live stream at 4 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Bye bye.